And now it's Deborah Kobylt Live.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Deborah Kobylt Live. And joining me today is Marcela Benson, a spiritual nutritional counselor. And she wrote this tremendous book. It's called Love, Peace, and Vegetables. And I have to tell you, look, I'm lifting it up. Marcela, how many pages is this? I call it the Bible. It is like a Bible. Tell me, I think 444 pages. Am I correct?
That's right. That's right.
You guys, I have to lift weights just to lift this book up. I'm not kidding. It's a stunning, stunning book. But I'm going to have you talk to us about what is this book about? Because it's not just your ordinary, cookbook. It really incorporates love, peace, and vegetables. Talk to me about it.
Yes. Well, I wanted to write something from the point of view that life is an invitation. Like if you see the cover, it could be a perfect invitation for an afternoon tea. Yeah. If you just take the cover and take the title out and you say, I invite you to tea. And I do believe that life is an invitation. And although this is a vegan and food lifestyle book, I believe we can all use more vegetables in our life. We can all use more love and we can all use more peace. So I decided to incorporate that because it is so important to be able to come into a lifestyle which is inviting. And it's not just making you want to be something that you're not, but it's inviting you to adopt whatever you would like to uptake, whatever you're ready to uptake in a very loving and peaceful way.
You know what's wonderful about this Bible, this food Bible, that's what I'm calling it, your food Bible, is so often, right? There are cookbooks, there are diet cookbooks, there are healthy eating cookbooks, but a lot of times we can't stick to it, don't want to stick to it. This is different because it talks about peace. It talks about mindful eating and how it really is all connected. And how I always say this, in this country, we're always in such a rush and we're throwing our food down. We're not thinking about anything that was going in. We're just shoving it in. And then what happens, right? People are obese, they're unhealthy, they've got diabetes. How do we dial it back, Marcela, so that we are mindful with what's going in our stomachs?
Yes.
That's hard. That's hard for me too.
Yes. I mean, I think forgiveness is a big part. Just let's forgive ourselves for what we've done to our bodies. Let's forgive ourselves for all the things we don't know. And let's start changing our mind to look at things as an adventure, not as a diet, not as a diet, not as a thing you have to do. It is a thing that is joyful for you. Healing and health food and organic food and vegetables, it's truly joyful because it is a moment that you can connect with nature in a level of pleasure, because eating is pleasurable.
Yeah.
So I think,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think when we make these pleasurable connections in our brain with our lifestyle, all of a sudden we turn back to love.
Yeah. You were 15 years old when you became a vegetarian. This book is not at all in any way telling people to do that. This is just your lifestyle, right? You talk about how you get your nutrition. And by the way, the illustrations in here are fabulous. You also have poetry. I love that because it also brings you down to that very peaceful feeling of the food that's going in your body. It helps you sort of be mindful. I love that. The photos, and what's amazing to me is you cooked up everything in these 444 pages. Pretty incredible. But again, tell me about how you started on your journey when you were very young as a teenager.
Yes. Well, I started just because I was in my best friend at the time and her best friends, they were both vegetarians. And we were just sitting in Buenos Aires in a little cafe having pizza. Yeah. And back in the days, it was very common to order pizza with meat, especially in Argentina. And my friends looked at me and says, "Oh, Marcela, what are you eating?" Like they brought me into consciousness, like you're eating carcasses. And I'm like, what? Like I never put it together. Right. That was pretty strong for me to hear at 15.
That's strong.
And that day I knew it was something in me, like I didn't laugh about it. I didn't think it was funny what they're saying. I thought that it was very serious.
Yeah,
I thought that
it
was very
was.
serious. Yes.
It was serious. Yeah. But so you became a vegetarian, but also at the age of 16, a year after that, right? You developed something else that became just more mindful with everything that you were putting in your body, right? You started practicing meditation. Like, what inspired you to do all this at such a young age?
Yes. Well, I think I was very lucky because I ended up going into a Hindu temple, and they took me in. I was one of the youngest ones there, and they just taught me with so much love. You know, I've had the luck of having teachers through my life who were passionate about teaching with love. And that's really how I came about all of these. That, you know, you can, you can hammer knowledge into somebody's head, but you can enamor somebody with knowledge, and that will never leave you. It just will never leave you because it will feel natural, like falling in love with your child, like falling in love with a partner.
Right.
It just doesn't leave you when it's that like that.
You grew up where? And also, yeah, tell us about that. And also, what inspired you, right? Who inspired you? I believe the power of life, right? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes. I was born in Argentina. Yeah, so my mom from Israel, my grandmother also, my grandparents from Syria, a little town in Aleppo. Yeah, so all my generations, I'm the second generation out of the Middle East, and I carry a lot of that in my recipes, in my way of being also. And what inspired me was a lot of sickness, a lot of pain that I had to see. My father was a diabetic, and he passed away through dialysis and calcification of the heart, and, you know, losing an eye and having open wounds on his legs, which since very early on, we knew he was sick. And that inspired me. You know, it was painful to see, but it also inspired me that I didn't want to end up there. And what inspired me the most also is when I became a wife and I had my children and they had problems. That was like, okay, it's okay for me to have problems for my children. And that I started my quest with my children.
Wow. Can you talk to us about that? Share a little bit that you shared with me off camera about how you helped your daughter and your son through food.
Yes. Well, you know, I both of my kids I raised with home cooked meals always. But when he was about between 5, 6, and 7, he says, I want to eat what other children eat. And I said to him, you know, I have no idea. And I said to him, yes, why not? You know, good. I don't have to cook anymore.
I get it.
You know, this is a common thread in all the moms, you know, it's work. Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And then after a year, the teacher started telling me, you know, that he wasn't paying attention, he was not learning, and that I had to test him. And of course, I did everything, you know, they recommended, because I was a child. I was 28. I was grown up, but right. It was a child still.
You're a young mom.
Yes. Yeah. And I had to, you know, I was raised that you look up to the adults and you take their advice. Yeah. So I took their advice until that advice, it not longer was serving my son. And then I said, okay, that's not serving my son. And I know I can help my son. And I went to all the bookstores and I ordered all the books I needed to order. And I spoke with my massage therapist, and I spoke with the doctor, and I spoke with my mother husband, who was a doctor there, and with my mom, and with everyone until I came to many different things. One was my teacher, which was my most important teacher, doctor, healer, mentor, friend, and family now. And Dr. Gabriel Cousins. And I learned that through eating organic and eating vegan, I could help my son. And I did that. And he was remarkable. In 1 month, the teachers were asking me, why are you giving him medication? And I'm like, no, I'm just changing.
Wow.
Yeah. I changed his nutrition. And that was really big when I realized that, okay, this is what it is. And then I remember also when I had him, I remember as a baby, he used to projectile vomit. So this is something, yes. And then I started putting 2 and 2 together, because when I was pregnant with him, I was vegetarian, but I was not vegan and I was not organic.
Right.
So then I started to being able to, oh, wow. So he had gut issues from very early on. And then all of these got better. His mind got better. He never needed medication. He needed support. And he needed me present to organize whatever I needed to organize. And now, I mean, he's married. He's 28 years old. He's in finance. He's a rock star. He's amazing. I love him. And, and he's doing amazing, really. And with
your
my
daughter. Yeah, your daughter as well, right? A different issue, but tell us how she was healed through food. Yeah.
Yes. My daughter also, she was born with undeveloped lungs, and she had croups, and I ended up in the hospital with all kinds of steroids. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? And that's when I decided, okay, I need to find my teacher also, that I need to go learn. It's not possible anymore that from books I get my information, I interpret and I do. I need to have an education. And really, I went towards this education because of my children. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing what I do today. And I went to Dr. Cousin's school, Holistic School of Spiritual Nutrition. And I graduated there. And when I was there, I went with my daughter, and I went with somebody to help me care of her while I was in class. And my daughter got super, super sick. And I could start hearing the cough. And we are in Arizona, in Patagonia, in the middle of the desert, where it's so dry. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to end up in the hospital. And I go to Dr. Cousins crying. I say, look at my daughter. I don't know what to do. He didn't flinch. He says, give her these 3 things. It was an herbal remedy. It was another remedy for chelating and and vitamin C. Give her every 2 hours. And that's when everything kind of came into alignment for me, because I saw day by day, I never ended up in the hospital. She was perfectly fine. And she never, ever had croups again. And usually croups gets healed after 7 years old, when the lungs complete developing.
Right.
But before that, you end up in the hospital with steroids all the time. So after she was 3 years old, when I started all the herbal planning for her and the right nutrition and all of these, that she got completely healed. So that was huge inspiration for me to continue in this path and to continue learning and doing what I do.
As a spiritual nutritionist, what does that even mean, right? So many people just looking for a nutritionist. Very often I feel like it's a lot of one size fits all. I think a spiritual nutritionist completes that, though, right? Because it's inside, it's outside, it's what's going on in our minds and how we can slow it down. So talk to me about, what does that mean to be a spiritual nutritionist? I come to you, how would you help me?
Yes. For example, it's very important. You cannot treat the body without treating the emotions, without knowing the journey of the soul. Yeah. You can't, for example, if you are diabetic, the pancreas, it is that organ that maybe you haven't received enough sweetness in your life. And then there is a whole aspect of it is an incurable disease, which is not my experience. Right. And my experience is that if you do the right nutrition and you take the right herbs, there is recuperation of diabetes type 2.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there is the other. Can I do this? Can I really change my life?
That's hard. And sometimes I wonder as well, like, why am I so attached to this food? I don't need it. I don't have to have it, but it gives me such comfort. And you're right. Separating yourself from it is really emotional. It's a real mental thing. How do we do that really once and for all?
I love it that you say once and for all.
Because it's so hard. I'm a perfect example, right? There's certain foods that I'm pretty certain are not good for me. They don't help my body or my mind, but I keep going back.
Yes.
What is it? How does one study, right? So they understand what they're doing. It's more like the study, right?
Yes, because there is a whole addictive brain mechanism, with sugars and with fats and with ingredients that are not supposed to be part of our food.
Right.
Okay, so when we eliminate all of these and we clean our palates and we realize also, you have to come to the realization that eating the way I'm trying to teach and eating the way I show you, it is much more delicious than eating any other way. And then it's like, oh, I can't touch that, because you no longer see it as food. You see it as it is poison for your body.
Well, it's clean, it's flavorful when you don't put all that other stuff in it. Once you get used to it. What if you're a person though who eats out a lot? Your job dictates that you're always out. How can you continue these, a mindful way of eating if you're always out? Very often when I'm at a restaurant, I'll say, but please know this, and by the time I'm done, they're looking at me like, oh, come on. How do you do it? How do you stay healthy and eat out?
Yes. Well, first of all, our lifestyles changes the world. Yeah. Like when I came to Miami, there was not one vegan restaurant, and now it's booming. There was just one farm that was giving organic vegetables. Now you have all of these farmers markets. So there is more and more and more around the world. I mean, I've traveled around the world teaching with Dr. Cousins, and everywhere that I go, I find amazing organic food, wonderful restaurants where they're not using canola oil and they're not using noxious oils for your health. And it's really not difficult to plan nowadays and to have the right meal wherever you go. Yes, it does take some work. It does. But the more you do it, the more you realize. And now even in airports, you can find these little things of organic nuts and organic little things. Even in airports now, I'm like, wow, that's phenomenal. So it is growing, and it will grow as people become more knowledgeable and people start asking for it. They will create a market, the bigger market.
What about getting into that zone with your mind where you are peaceful? I mean, again, love, peace, and vegetables, right? Love yourself, surround yourself with peace. How do you start that, right? How do you begin that journey into taking care of yourself and being peaceful?
Yes. Well, by doing things that are good for you, what quiets you, what takes you there, or what practice can you uptake? Maybe if you are very fiery, you don't want to just sit there and meditate. So maybe finding a dance, a sacred dance, finding an exercise that really takes you into the zone will do it for you. If you are more quiet like me, for me, just like before our interview, I just went and I walked into my garden barefoot, and I was just looking at the bees, and that really just filled my heart with peace and joy and gratefulness. But yes, we have to take ourselves there. Peace will arrive if you're looking for it, if you're making the space for it. Yeah. The same is with nutrition. The same is with love. You have to make space in your life for the good things to arrive.
Are there a few ingredients or certain foods that for you are a must, that you must have for you to feel mentally and physically fit and able to sort of do what you do?
Yes. I have to say there's certain types of food that I cannot eat more than I need to eat. For example, any sugary stuff for me is detrimental from the way I think. And anytime, and believe me, sometimes I do, and eating way too late. That's terrible for me.
Me too. Me too.
So, so I think it's not what I eat, is what I need to stop eating.
Yeah. But I like how you're so mindful and aware of what works for you. Like we each have to figure out what it is. Like you just have to take the time, because to me, I've also traveled quite a bit, and I just notice it's our lifestyle really, where we're so much on the run and we're not thinking. And if we can find that place, just like you said, whatever it is that works. Like for me, it's being near the water, any water. It could be a bathtub, just water, just the sound of water brings me to a center. So you're right, whatever that might be, if you can find it, right? So I love that you talk about that. Forgive ourselves. You've talked about that, right? You talked about that earlier. Easing into peace and blessing your food. You talk about blessing your food, right? That creates a connection between us and our food. Can you talk to me about what you mean about that?
Yes, absolutely. Blessing our food. See, blessing, I went into a quest for a few years asking to different teachers, what did a blessing mean? Who are we that we have the power to bless? I was a little bit upset about that. And then
interesting.
Yes, I was like, who are we? Who do we have the right to bless? Do we really have the right to bless? And I had one teacher of mine, a Kabbalist teacher of mine, that he looked at me and he says, look, Marcela, in Kabbalah, in the mysticism of Judaism, it is taught that each time we say a blessing is as if we were threading a tree from heaven and putting this branch into earth, so another tree will grow, materialize into earth. And all of this makes heaven and earth merge into one. And as we do this, we always are bringing the divine branch into our life and into earth. And when he told me that, I was so pleased, because I felt like the cosmic knitter. So now blessing is no longer just who are we to bless, but blessing is a sacred time in which we bring the divine into our lives, into our food, and more, and changes truly the structure of the water of your vegetables. It changes the structure of the water of your body, because as you become grateful and mindful with blessings, also this reverberates in every cell of your being.
How about growing our own? Now, for those who have an apartment and cannot, I have a friend who lives in a very small space, and she got herself a small vertical garden, and she's been producing beautiful vegetables from that. So what about growing our own, even if we have a small space?
It's the best, really. It connects you to earth. Really, if you want to lose weight, go work in the garden, go plant a garden, you lose weight very, very, very easily. And yes, planting your own, it's very, very important. Even if you are in a place that is wintry, you can sprout and eat your own sprouts. It's just very easy. I explain in the book how easy it is and how wonderful it is to have your sprouts growing.
Yeah.
You know?
Talk to me about the book. Do you have any favorite recipes that are just tried and true that you always go to? And also the desserts. I would like pick it up, but it's impossible for me to pick it up. It's so heavy. It really is. I'll drop it. Some of those desserts are so extraordinary. And I even said to you when we talked on the phone, did you make all of this? And you said, yes. Talk to me about some of your favorites. And then I want to ask you how long it took you to do this book and where you shot some of the pictures.
Yes. Well, for me, I love all the recipes, but I love, I'm a foodie. So for me, every recipe needs to be perfection. It needs to be super delicious. But you know what I love? One of my favorite parts of the books is condiments, sauces, and other pleasures. Why? Because when you have the right sauce, you have the right condiment, okay, and you have those little things, your meal becomes a feast.
It is true. It is true. Just the right condiment, you just sort of dip it in.
That's
Almost
it.
anything can taste extraordinary, right? I love that.
Yes. So that's why I put that part, and I did it with a lot of love, because I said, we need that. If we just and the sauces are so easy, because you just throw it in the blender, throw the ingredients in the bread, and phenomenal. You have a sauce.
Yeah.
And then steam some veggies, get some kale, get some other things that are not so complicated to make. And then you have your sauces that have herbs and maybe have some seaweed and see. So that's my favorite part in the book.
and these desserts are also quite extraordinary. Your soups, oh my gosh, the soups are beautiful. But you have a couple of favorite dishes. I love this too. The cauliflower sun salad. That was one of my favorites. That I'm going to make. I have to tell you, I haven't yet, and I intend to, because it looks easy, it looks super healthy, and it's actually beautiful.
Yes, and you know why it's very good? Because it has turmeric. I believe the sauce either is done with almonds or cashews. I don't remember right now out of the top of my head. So it's anti-inflammatory. Right. What else it has? The cauliflower itself, that is cut very, very small, it's high in sulfur.
Yeah, really chopped,
Yes. And the onions that are high in sulfur, and then I use this black salt that is also high in sulfur. So all of these alchemizes into like, oh, am I eating egg salad without being that? So then you can put it in a wrap. See, if you need extra protein, you can put some pumpkin seed protein on it, or you can put some hemp seeds on it. And it's a wonderful meal to put it in a wrap, put it in your salad, make it however you want. And I explain also in the recipes how you can morph one recipe into other things.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to ask you about shooting this book, the photography, and how long that took you. But before I do that, there's beautiful poetry that is also included in the book that can also bring you to a moment of peace and centering as you're about to prepare your food. Why did you decide to incorporate that into the book?
I've been writing poetry since I'm 16 years old. This came about when I had a very specific spiritual experience, and I started to hear the poetry that is everywhere for us in nature, and the love that is there for us. And I feel like poetry, it's like art also, that whoever reads it gets what they need to get. So it's not about the author writing what they want to write, but it's about putting the words together in a way that means something for you when you read it. And I wanted to bring that aspect because I think it's important. Poetry brings a lot of life. It brings a lot of food for thought, and not necessarily food for thought that I want you to have. It's what you are interpreting.
I love poetry. It's very, very thoughtful, right? It always takes me a step back. And then what a perfect addition to a cookbook, to a book, as you're about to learn more about recipes and healthy eating and mindful eating. It's actually kind of brilliant, Marcela. That's actually one of my favorite. Yeah. Talk to me about the making of this book, because really, guys, it's pretty outstanding. Let me see. Will I get lucky? There you go. Here's one recipe that I'll hold up. This is just one of, honestly, hundreds. And the photography on this is stunning. And I did say, right, did you make each one of these? And you said, oh, yes, I did. Tell us about that.
I did. I was looking to shoot the book for several years and interviewing photographers and all of these. And I called a dear friend of mine, a soul sister, and I complained to her. Yeah.
Good. That's what our soul sisters are for. Go ahead. So
yes. I can't do this. And she's like, no, you can do this. And she says, why don't you come to Bali? And I'm like, how am I going to go to Bali with all my stuff and everything? And says, no, let me price it for you. And she did. And I felt so invited. And always when I go to Bali, there is so many blessed people there. And we found a house that became my studio, and I lived there and I worked there, and I had the most wonderful photographer, Ira Rodriguez, and I had an illustrator, Madegria, one who's an incredible artist. He never did illustrations before for a book. He is a true artist. His paintings are in museums, they're in Japan. I mean, and his style of art is very special also, and spiritual art. And all the food that I made, it was all given to people around the neighborhood. So we fed the whole neighborhood for about 3 months, nonstop.
Wow. Wow. But, and again, where did you do this again? You went to where to do it?
Indonesia, Bali.
Wow. So you left Miami, went for 3 months in Bali to shoot this extraordinary book. Gosh, what an assignment. What a wonderful way to spend your time and get to know the local people there by sharing the food that you made. I do love this story. It's exceptional.
Yes. Because one of the things that I was taken back is that each time I was interviewing a photographer, they will tell me, no, we use the food and we throw it out, and sometimes we spray it and we put a spray on it. And I was like, no. For me, it was like, that's sacrilege. My food is, and all the food that I have in the book, mind you, it's all organic, all grown there, that you can find whatever local stuff here in the United States the same. But for me, it was a sacrilege to throw out food or to paint it or to put a spray or to put things just to make it look good, because you can make even a dead person look good if you put makeup on them.
This is true.
But then it's not the same energy, you see, because everything is energy. And this is what I want people to understand, even when we look at a picture of somebody who's all touched up. I work with many amazing models, and we talk about this, the importance of just natural beauty and the energy that brings to the world of it's not a lie. This is who I am. This is what it is. This is the truth. It is not makeup. It is not cover. This is what it is.
I hope we can get back to more of those, if you will, sensible values. I was looking today on my Instagram, and a very well-known person from a very well-known family, they were talking about their new lips. And how many times have I said, gosh, do I need to go do that? And I never have. And I think, you know what, I'm just going to have to age the way they are. And I then looked at that picture of that person and I thought, does that even look good anyway? Like, how did we get over there when we should be over here about natural aging and healthy aging, though, right? The key is healthy aging, not just to sort of completely let yourself go, but you can age so beautifully if you're healthy, right? If we're healthy.
Yes. I wish my mom was here. You could see she's like the perfect example. And also Dr. Cousins, who's 78. He's so beautiful. I mean, and you have to see my mom, she's 76. She is amazing. And she does Pilates. And now she's painting her whole apartment and managing her stuff. And, yes, she's a vegan. She's live food. And she takes care of herself. And it's perfect. Her face is perfect. Her radiance is perfect. But it's not only from the food you eat. It's the way you think.
Right.
To have to modify yourself also, I have no judgment with that. You do whatever floats your boat, and I don't have a judgment. I speak to the people that they want to create more love in their brain, in their bodies, and that all is beautiful in nature.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
And beauty is across many different spectrums. And none is better than other.
This is true. It's the human condition, right, Marcela? It's just the human condition.
Always the way we think about things. I could think about myself of, oh, look, I have extra weight, or, oh, wow, I have dark circles, which I always had because I'm Middle Eastern. And I could be thinking that and not being able to bring you my full potential, or I could love myself how I am and completely accept and love myself and bring you all the goodness that I have. And none of the rest matters, because then you step into true beauty.
Extraordinary. You're actually bringing me to tears because you just are. I love the way you think. I love, you have such a peaceful voice too. Just listening to you talk, I just, I calm down just a little bit too. It's, you've gotten a wonderful effect. Tell our audience how people can get in touch with you, because I know that you work with people, right, on their
Yes.
nutrition,
Yes.
and how they can find you, and also this book. Please, people, if there's any book you purchase about food, this isn't just food. It is about the love, the peace, and the food that you're putting into your mind and your body. I really love this book. I'm so grateful for this book. So
Thank
tell
you,
people
Deborah.
how,
Thank you.
yeah, I mean that. Tell people how they can find you.
People can find me in the book in all the major and small little bookstores. I always encourage people to please, please, please stimulate your small stores and go to your small bookstores and ask
Yes.
for my book. Order it from them, have them order for you.
I
Even
agree.
if they don't have it, have them order for you. You can also buy it from me directly, www.marcela.love, MARCELA.love. And you can also buy it from me, but I do encourage you to go to your small neighborhood bookstore because we love them. Don't we love them?
I do. In fact, just before our show started, right? Who rang my doorbell? Amazon. It wasn't something I ordered. I won't order from there. I will go to the small bookstore. Maybe one or two other in my family, they like to have it come to the door. I don't. I like to support my local farmers market. I like to support my local bookstore without a doubt, because they're leaving us. So we have to support them. So I agree with you so much.
Yes,
So
yes.
gosh, thank you so much. And again, if people want to work with you, you're available to have people work, to speak to people about their nutrition as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, they can look at my website and there they can find me, and it's all in the website.
Thank you. Marcela Benson, thank you very much for joining us. Love, peace, and vegetables. And if there's anything you'd like to add, I will give you the final words, if you don't mind, on our show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What I want to add is be mindful of what you think. You are a vessel of not only flesh, but you're a vessel of water. And within this water of you, all of your thoughts are repeated over and over and over. So be mindful to have beautiful music, to have beautiful thoughts, and to bring things into your life, inspiration that take you there every day, and communicate that to every cell of your body. So like that, you make a better world for yourself and for all of us.
Beautiful. Marcela Benson, thank you so much. Love, peace, and vegetables. Look up marcela.love for any other information. Go to your local bookstore to check out the book. And thank you very much for joining us. And thanks to our audience for joining us. You can write to me too if you want any more information. And also check out Marcela on her social media pages as well. So our show can be found pretty much anywhere. We're on YouTube and Facebook and IGTV, and then we transfer it over into an audio podcast as well. Just look up Deborah Kobylt Live, and you will find our interview, our full interview with Marcela Benson. So thanks everybody for being here. Thank you, Marcela, for taking the time. It's wonderful to meet you. And